Hi, welcome to Flashbacks with Blen. In today's episode, my guest and I will be talking about the book Red Scarf Girl by Ji-Li JIang. My guests today are Anissa and Minu.
I'm Minu. I'm in 10th grade, and we all take AP History together. Not together, but together. In spirit.
Yeah. Okay, Anissa.
I'm Anissa. I'm also in 10th grade, and I'm really excited to start this podcast.
Okay. Today we'll be talking about the book Red Scarf Girl by Ji-Li JIang. The book covers Ji-Li's childhood experiences and memories during the Cultural Revolution. The Cultural Revolution, formerly known as the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution, was a socio-political movement in the People's Republic of China. It was launched by Mao in 1966 and lasted until his death in 1976. Its stated goal was to preserve Chinese communism by purging remnants of capitalist and traditional elements from Chinese society. Though it failed to achieve its main objectives, the Cultural Revolution marked the effective return of Mao to the center of power. Ji-Li wrote this book as a first account of what happened in China when she was growing up. Okay, so we first got our hands on this book through our AP World History class. It was assigned to us to read about Ji-Li and her life, and did we take one quiz on this, or was there two?
There was one.
Okay, there was one quiz for this, and I really liked it. I didn't really see it as a school assignment. I really just saw it as a book that I would read.
Me too. I feel like, I don't know about you, Nisa, I got really into it. I was reading it on the plane back home.
Really?
And I put it off to the week before we had the quiz.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed it. I read it for 6 or 7 hours straight because we were on a flight.
Yeah, it was. We also read another book. I think it was called the History
of the World in 6 Classes.
Yes,
but that was a while ago. That was a boring book.
That was
just history.
Yeah. I feel like I'm a history person. I like reading historical fiction, but this book really is just
it's like a memoir too. It's not like fiction.
Yeah. And the author Ji-Li, she geared it towards young adults and younger children, so we could I guess not necessarily relate to it, but understand more.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see from her perspective because she's in middle school in the book.
Yeah,
and that's we just got done with middle school, so
yeah.
It's I think it's more interesting this way than if it was an adult going through it.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I liked it because I like books when they're telling a real person's story, because it's kind of hard to imagine, but it actually happened to real people, and it's not just made up. This happened a while ago, but it was recent.
She's still alive.
Yeah, she is still alive, and she's done a lot of interviews and Zoom meetings. So yeah, what were your initial thoughts on the book?
I think it was a good portrayal of the Cultural Revolution just because it was through a child's lens. And
so what about you?
Yeah, I liked it. I don't know how to explain, but it's not entertaining, but it's interesting.
Okay.
Interesting to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. So what were your favorite and least favorite parts in the book? I know for me, I liked how she just the perspective from of her as a child, and her perspective of her as she was a child and she's writing this book reflecting on her childhood memories and experiences, and I just liked that part. But I also liked how much how in detail she described her emotions. If she was embarrassed, she talked about what embarrassed her.
Yeah, I think I liked when she was a lot of the time talking about her grandmother and how hard it was for them to do things get medicine or go to the hospital, even though they were considered richer, or how life was still hard for them, even though everyone else thought the other the government and the other townspeople thought they were bad people
for being more wealthier, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or being landlords. They were landlords. I was what were they doing?
Yeah, because also in China, because they were communist, everyone was supposed to be like
The same
equal, like have equal distributed wealth, and
that didn't really happen.
Yeah, and it's kind of like that kind of relates to like now, because I think if you are slightly wealthier than other people, like people will still like look down upon you.
Yeah, it's like a weird.
It's a weird system.
It's kind of like, I would think, jealousy.
Yes, yeah, and a lot of the kids in her elementary school, I think
like,
she's in 5th grade.
They like act out towards her and made those like posters for her.
Yeah.
I feel like it might have been like out of jealousy.
Yeah.
It's like a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, nobody's
Yeah.
You
winning.
can't be poor because then you'll live like uncomfortably, but you can't be rich because then people will hate you.
Yeah, and then it's like
And
if
it's-
you're middle class, that's just like what everyone else is.
And
Like,
they weren't even like super rich though,
Mhm.
because like think of like a landlord.
Yeah.
They're like landlords make money, but not like they're not making as much money as like maybe General Mao.
Yeah.
I bet General Mao
They're
making a
not
lot
like
more money.
millionaires.
They're not
Yeah.
like they don't own companies and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So
Even when I was reading the book and she talked about like her maid, she wasn't really like a maid. She called her a maid.
I
but
think it's really common in Asian countries to have, because cost of labor is really cheap,
yes.
to have like one or a couple like workers working for a
Mhm.
family.
Yeah.
Because like everyone I know in India has like people working for them just to
Mhm.
make life easier.
Yeah.
And that in like China and Thailand it's really like the same.
Mhm.
I don't know about China, but I know
Yeah.
in other.
Yeah. It's just funny because like when we think of the word like maid, because we're in America, we think like,
We think
oh,
of,
that's
like-
such a bad thing.
Yeah, because
But
it's really expensive to have like help here, but
Mhm.
in other parts of the world it's not.
yeah. And they
expensive at
treated
all.
her like a
A family member. That's how they kind of like are.
Yeah. They
Well, in
didn't-
India it's a little different because of like caste system. But
Yeah. And they didn't really like look down upon her like some of her classmates thought they did.
They did, yeah. I feel like one of like the parts of the book I didn't like was that it kind of the classmates like looking down on her. It didn't really show their perspective as much as it
Yeah.
should have, like what they were going through. I mean,
Mhm.
of course it's a memoir,
Yes.
but it didn't really like show the thought process behind them like
Mhm.
hating on her.
Yeah, but they were also so just brainwashed. Like it's not
Yeah,
their fault.
it didn't show. I feel like it didn't show a lot of propaganda. The book didn't,
Mhm.
and I feel like it didn't talk about that as much as it could have.
Yeah.
What about you, Anissa?
I don't know. I didn't like when her like best friend was talking about her mom, who was like a teacher,
Mhm.
like how they look down on her mom
Yeah.
because she's a teacher, and then she felt bad about that because
Mhm.
like it wasn't her fault.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of violence in the book, but it's not like there wasn't so much of it.
I think there's a lot of emotional violence.
That's what I meant. There's like so much emotional violence that I think,
And it's like little kids doing it to each other,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
and it's them just like, it's the, like, I get that's how it was, and that's why she put it in the book for us to like understand the repercussions of like acting like not
Like
like
the
a bad
world,
person.
yeah.
Like I get that she put that in the book, but it's like to think about like, oh, if that was me, I don't know how I would react.
Yeah, I wouldn't have. I feel like the way her and her family was, I wouldn't have been that like calm and composed
Mhm.
and willing to cooperate.
Yeah.
Especially when they like got all mad at the teachers saying the teachers were like brainwashing the
Oh,
kids.
Yeah.
I would have been so pissed because
Mhm.
like
Yeah. I mean, like you hear about kids like complaining about teachers now, like but
yeah,
it's
but
never
the
like,
government doesn't complain with the teachers,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
I feel like that's crazy.
Mhm. And going back to like one of my favorite parts, like in the book, I liked how much respect Ji-Li had for her parents.
Yeah, even though like she did think about one time going to the police station.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like admirable that she didn't.
Mm-hmm. That's like that symbolism of
Yeah.
her going to the police station, but then like backing out and being like, I don't want to do this. That just shows like how much like respect
How much
her
like
parents.
family meant to her
Mhm.
also.
And it's funny because I guess in that time, it would be a 4-old to like respect your parents over General Mao.
Yeah, because it's like Confucius.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. Okay, what did you find interesting about the book?
I liked like when like at the beginning of the book when she's like loyal to Chairman Mao more than her parents, and like her favorite quote was like to love him more than your own parents, and like you can see throughout the book she like she starts to
changes.
she starts to change it. She prefers like
She
loves
backs out
yeah
of the police thing.
like she loves her parents
Yeah.
more than Chairman Mao, and you can like see her like develop.
The plot of the book is just like really interesting because like in the beginning, she was recruited to be in like
The dance
the
team.
dance team.
But then she got so upset that she couldn't because of
Yeah.
her like family history.
Yeah, and then like towards the end of the book, she
She
would
realized-
never like
Yeah, she wouldn't.
she
ever-
realized how bad it really was,
Yeah.
and that her parents were looking out for her, and also how
It shows a lot of growth because she's like growing up. I feel like this book is about her growing up because in the end she's acting more like her parents and thinking a little bit more reasonably for her
Yeah.
like place in life
Mhm.
and society.
She like matures a lot, and like this book is
Yeah.
only like
A couple
span
years.
of 2
Yeah.
years.
2 years. I think.
Yeah. I also liked, because we know that she's an older sibling, she's the oldest, she has a younger brother and a younger sister. I liked the perspective of her like being the older sibling because I can kind of relate to that because I'm the oldest.
We both are. Anissa's
We both are. Anissa's the
not.
youngest.
I can't relate.
But I related to her because sometimes like her younger brother especially would be like really annoying, or he got into
Yeah.
like fights in the book. And
Yeah.
her sister too. She always like pushed her sister a lot with like her piano lessons, and it kind of just like I kind of related to that a lot.
I feel like being the older sibling
yeah.
never changes no matter what
Yeah.
where you are, what
Mhm.
you're doing.
Yeah. How would you imagine yourself as the main character? I guess that kind of like ties in being like the older sibling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could
I
kind of
feel
see
like-
myself.
I feel like it's hard to put myself in the shoes of her because it's like that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
We've never
Be able to handle it
experienced.
as well as she could.
Yeah,
No.
she acted like this was like, she's just like known this her whole life.
Yeah,
And yeah.
I feel like I would totally not be able to handle this sudden changes.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like now politically in America, there's a lot of sudden changes happening all the
Yeah.
time, especially with like COVID and stuff. And I didn't handle that well. I don't know how I would handle
Yeah, I
like
didn't
such,
know that
like,
well.
hardship,
Mhm.
hard stuff. Like
Mhm.
I wouldn't be able to do
Yeah.
what she did.
And she saw like a lot, like not to say that there isn't like violence in the streets of America, but like
She
this
saw
was,
a lot aimed at her.
Yes, this was like in her neighborhood, like right outside her window. She
Yeah.
saw a lot of just violent actions from
People she thought were her friends.
yes,
Or like people she wouldn't feel sympathy for, like that
Mhm.
boy's mother.
And they're
Yeah.
all like targeted at people like
Yeah.
her. So, like,
Yes.
she would definitely be like scared of it
Mhm.
happening to her.
Yeah, it didn't like the book didn't really touch upon like her insecurities because the acts of violence were aimed at people like towards her that were like her, but she didn't really talk about like how insecure she felt. Really,
I feel like at the beginning of the book, it kind of like she was insecure about she didn't go to school because she didn't want people to know that she couldn't join the dance team.
Yeah,
But besides that, it didn't really talk about how she really, I don't know.
yeah, she wasn't like scared almost. Like
Yeah.
I'd be scared to like
I'd be
leave
like,
the
yeah.
house. Even one part that like really stuck out to me was when she was in her junior high school, and her dad had been detained at.
Oh, and she was handling it so well for
Mhm.
someone her age.
Yeah, her dad had been detained at his workplace. First of all, I don't know, like I could not handle that.
I was by his like coworkers.
By his coworkers, by
I'm sure
his
she
boss.
knew them.
And his boss, like, his boss, like, came to her school and
And they, like,
confronted her
yeah.
about it and was like, hey, like, you need to testify against your dad, and if you don't, then you're not
I would
favorable of Chairman Mao. Like, I couldn't do that. I don't know what I would do. I don't know why she just, like, was so calm in that moment, but
And she was only like, how old was she? Like 13?
she's like 13,
13,
12.
14
Yeah,
at most.
yeah,
Me at 13, 14, I was like, no,
I
I couldn't
started
have done
bawling.
this.
Like, I'd start bawling.
Yeah, no, especially in class.
Mhm.
Especially, like, I feel like during that time in my life, that's a time of like change, just like for anyone,
Mhm.
I would like.
Yeah.
She's able to handle a lot.
Mhm. She's so mature for her age, thinking about it, and it's just like
I feel like what was happening around her caused her to become more mature,
yeah.
and I feel like that's really heartbreaking.
What stuck out most to you while you were reading the book? We just really talked about it.
Yeah.
The audacity that some of these people had.
They didn't have any empathy for anyone.
They really didn't. And I mean, they were brainwashed, so it's not like you can blame them almost.
But I feel like we don't really, in reading the book, I didn't really relate to the people who were brainwashed.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really see their side in the book as much.
Yeah.
But I just hated them.
And it was also like coming from children.
Yeah.
Like when her best friend, Ann Yi, I think was her name, when her best friend's mom, who's a teacher, had to climb like the top of like a factory like chimney.
Chimney. What was that? The chimney?
And children's like ordered her to do that. Children.
I think that's.
Yeah.
Let's not be putting kids in places of power.
Yeah. And it's
crazy concept.
I guess it's like a smart political move of Mao because children are like
they're impressionable.
And they're also susceptible to like a lot of like manipulation.
Yeah.
So I think that was a smart political move of Mao to use children.
I feel like any type of dictator has always kind of like done that though, because like Hitler. Because we're talking about that right now. Like he like he did that too. He had the like young youth Nazi program and stuff.
And even when this was in her elementary school, when I think it was called the Red Successors, they like called Ji-Li to like a meeting after school, and one of them just like slapped her across the face.
She was constantly being confronted and like discriminated against by adult principal workplace people.
Yeah. And it's
just like random people she didn't know. There's no way she knew those Red Successors that like just hit her.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like you can't just like I get it, you're easily brainwashed, but like you can just slap me in the face.
They threw aside all like social norms when it came. I feel like they treated her less than human.
And children are just more like able to do that, to just throw out social norms than adults, because adults are just like they're more logical.
like her parents kind of held on to their values,
even though
and kids can easily lose them.
It kind of relates to like the Soviet Union and Stalin almost, because parents were taught to just tell like their children to support Stalin.
Yeah.
No matter what.
And I mean, they usually did. That's how her parents were too. They didn't like.
Yeah.
But they didn't really do it as much. They weren't.
They didn't force her to like. Believe
but they
in
didn't
Mao.
say anything negative.
Yeah, they never said anything negative about Mao in like front of her. Just to like protect her. That was a really like courageous move, and just it was really courageous of her parents. In a couple of words, how would you describe the book, Anissa?
I need to think.
I
think it relates to a lot of what we're doing right now in history. I know that's not what we're talking about, but
it's like really eye-opening.
Yes, it is eye-opening. I want to say like transformative almost, because it shows progression in her maturity, and it shows progression in her from like the beginning of how supportive she was of Mao to the end where she really just didn't like what he was doing.
I think it's not really. I think I like that it's not super political, even though it is super political in the larger sense. But it's just like shown through her.
It's just her life,
It's just like her everyday life. You know, it's not super a political book, constantly like talking about like opinions, but it's just like what she went through.
Yeah. So, what did you learn from reading this book? I can go first.
You can go first.
Okay. I learned about like, I think I always knew this, but like I said before, children are so susceptible to manipulation and just propaganda, and I guess you just learn how like people in positions of power, especially like high positions of power, always use and like manipulate exploit children, really
crazy.
And that there's always there's always going to be like divisions between classes, even though China was like considered communist. There were still people, like especially children, again, judging Ji-Li for having like slightly more wealth.
But it's not like she was even directly related to her grandfather, and I think her like showing the confusion of that really like helped understand the book better.
Yeah.
I think like I learned a lot about so communism is like a political idea, but when it's really like implemented, it's never implemented well in any like country, major world power that we know of today.
And we talked about that in history. Communism really just, it doesn't really work.
It doesn't work in reality, but in theory it's like a good idea. Or maybe like socialism is a better idea.
Socialism is a better idea. Because
in theory, but it never actually works.
It never works.
Even in like socialist
because we
countries.
need those, we need
like a government.
We need
someone with a higher power to like, lead you.
And we need people that are slightly
motivation.
better off.
Yeah.
Yes.
To like do better in life because
and for all the same,
and we need less violence than this. I feel like
do.
a lot of communist countries end up becoming really violent.
Yeah.
And really like rude to people who haven't completely adapted the idea of communism.
Yeah. And it's just like if we're all ideal, if we're all like the same in a sense, like wealth, clothes, like education, there's no progression, like
or individuality. We won't have like scientific discoveries or like things like that.
And if this was set in like very, very early on before scientific discoveries, it really like
it would have altered the progression of China.
It would have just like a lot of inventions would have been like created because
like China made a lot of the. If it was during like the earlier dynasties, it would have been rough for China, and they wouldn't have like helped the world the way they have.
Yeah.
I think sometimes in smaller scale, communist ideals are good because it's not like America is 100% capitalist.
Yeah.
And I think some things like social security, I think that's good.
There are some questions in the back of the book. Family relationships change as a result of the Cultural Revolution.
I think like she got closer with her family, but I think other people didn't. At the beginning, she was a little embarrassed of her family, but by the end, she started to like understand her parents and her father and stuff.
And there was like a moment in like the middle of the book, I want to say, where I think one of the kids in her classroom like pointed out to Ji-Li that her grandfather was a landlord, and
she didn't know it yet.
She didn't know it, and she had some sort of like resentment towards her father a little bit almost.
Yeah.
But that went away like as soon as she learned about Mao and everything.
Yeah, I think also her relationship with her friends, were her classmates, because she used to tutor that one girl who made the poster of her, and I feel like she felt a lot of like betrayal.
Yeah.
I would have been like,
wow,
I would use my words because keeping it PG.
And this is how you pay me. Like, this is how you pay me. Yeah. And I guess like kind of like it's not really family relationships, but like teacher relationships too.
Yeah, I feel like the other kids saying like such mean things about teachers, they kind of like got farther away.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean.
And Ji-Li, like she did well in school. She was a really good student, and I guess like teachers liked her because like she was so well, but she was also just like
she was smart,
a humble, like a good
and she
person.
was nice to everyone. She
tutored. Was nice, yeah.
She helped do stuff.
And I think a lot of the
stop, don't laugh at me.
I think a lot of the posters, I think they're called Daizabo. And
I guess
Daizabo.
Okay, sorry, Anissa. Daizabo.
Oh.
A lot of the students who made Daizabo of the teachers, I think really it just like showed their.
I feel like they kind of didn't like school like any kids.
Yes.
And they were kind of using it as an excuse to like not go to school, hate on their teachers, and it's legal.
Yeah, but it's like you see that now, but it's like you never would like if given the opportunity, would you really make a poster saying how much you hate school?
Maybe for my math teacher.
But like, would you like go out of your
No,
they were
I wouldn't
so
be like
mean.
as mean as they were, but I would totally use the excuse to skip school because they weren't in school for like a year.
They didn't hold back. They like said
Every
everything. Like, I hate this teacher. Like, oh my gosh, I couldn't go. There's a lot of audacity in this book. The audacity children had. Yeah.
The
Never.
kids were weird.
Oh,
I just
goodness.
can't. I can't imagine like middle schoolers being that mean.
Mhm.
But like so mean to like people that are in charge of you, like your parents,
Yeah.
and you're like.
Okay.
At the beginning, I was kind of like, Ji-Li, why are you pissed at your parents right now? They didn't
girl,
do
calm
anything.
down.
Yes.
Like, come on. I just remembered when the Red Guards were searching Ji-Li's home. Her father was detained, but his boss, and a few like other coworkers came in with the Red Guards, and when he had them like restrained, and he slapped the grandma, I was like,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
I had to set the book down. Like, where is the respect for elders?
For elders,
What?
yeah. I feel like, and her grandma wasn't even like healthy.
Right?
Her grandma couldn't even like go into town by herself. They had to like take her to the hospital and
Mhm.
stuff. I was like, wow, you guys
But,
are
like,
just like you.
The slap, like, what? And it's like, and he turns to the mom and he was like, don't make me do it to you too. Like,
And her mom was sick too.
yes, like both, her mom had, I forgot what illness she had, but she was really sick and she was just weak in
Everyone
general.
was sick, yeah. And then they like, they had a hard time in life.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, the audacity. I just had to set the book down after I read that part.
I was so invested in the book while I read it all in one sitting.
Yeah.
Because our flight was super long. I just read it in one sitting, and I didn't sleep, and I was really jet lagged for the rest of the week. And I skipped like 2 days of school.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best and 1 being like the worst, how would you rate this book?
I think probably like an 8 or a 9.
Mm-hmm.
An 8.
Elaborate. Why?
Like in between 8 and 9, not 10. Cause like near the end, I kind of got confused. It might have also been because I was really tired when I was reading it. I was like lost track of the characters and what was happening near the end. Like at the beginning, like from the beginning to like the middle, I like really liked reading it. Like it was like the one school book that I liked reading. And
Yeah.
I looked forward to reading it.
Yeah.
And like I liked seeing her development throughout the book.
Mm-hmm.
And like I just liked how she told the story through her perspectives. Like I could understand it.
Yeah.
So I really liked it.
Yeah. That's great.
I think I'd give it like a 9.
Why?
Just a 9. No other.
No, 9.5?
No 9.5. Maybe like a 9.2.
So specific. Why do you give this book a 9.2?
I think-
Elaborate. Please.
I really like it, but I wouldn't. This isn't like the book I would pick up on my own. You know, I think I wouldn't have picked it up just because like it looks like a book you would read for history class. I wouldn't have picked it up like
Yeah.
on my own.
The cover, there's actually a
But
different
it's
cover.
like such a good book though,
It is a really good book.
and I wouldn't have like known about it if it wasn't for like history. Besides that, the other reason I give it a 9.2 is like some parts of the book I just didn't like.
Yeah.
I think it could have been written better
Mm-hmm.
for some of it, like
I feel like it was written like poorly.
poorly to
She's-
be like
because
a
she's young.
kid,
Yeah.
but I didn't
Yeah.
really like get it.
Like on a scale of 1 to 10, I think I'd give this book like, probably like a 9 or an 8, like you said. I really liked the book. It was really entertaining. But if I saw this book like in a library, I wouldn't be like,
Let me
"Wait,
take that
let me
with
take
me.
this one. And also the back doesn't really do it justice.
I feel
The back of the
like
book does not do it justice.
she could do so much better with the like marketing of the book.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's such a good book.
It's a really good book, but like, so to recap, today we talked about the author, Ji-Li JIang, the Chinese Cultural Revolution, our thoughts on the book, and we also we ran through like a list of questions and we gave our thoughts, our opinions. We rated the book on a scale of 1 to 10. Stay tuned for next episode.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe to CPTV YouTube channel, and yeah, see you next time. Bye.
Bye.